Well, we have to bring you the latest of the news. The president will be at the formal ceremony to mark the 63rd independence anniversary celebration going to take place in the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi. We'll bring you the latest update when the ceremony starts right here on the channel. But also what took place in Accra was the sword cutting for the National Cathedral. And at the event, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, urged Ghanaians to appreciate the construction of the National Cathedral, which he says is in fulfillment of a promise he made to God prior to his election. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony that took place in the capital, he stated, a recent unanimous dismissal of a case challenging the constitutionality of the project by the Supreme Court only goes to affirm why it is needed. Maxwell Agbagba was there for JoyNews.
The sound of a trumpet after the symbolic foundation stone was laid by President Akufo-Addo. Members of the diplomatic corps, the clergy, and notable state officials like the Chief of Staff, the Senior Minister, were all present. Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia was also there with his wife. Speaking at the event, President Akufo-Addo stated, the construction of the cathedral is the fulfillment of a promise he made to God prior to the 2016 election.
I made a pledge to Almighty God that He was gracious enough to grant my party, the New Patriotic Party, and I, victory in the 2016 election. After 2 unsuccessful attempts, I would help build a cathedral to His glory and honor. I am determined to redeem this pledge. The reasons for my decision to mobilize support for the construction of the National Cathedral still hold. Firstly, since gaining our freedom and independence from the British colonial power 63 years ago tomorrow, on 6th March 1957, Ghana has so far been spared civil war, famine, and epidemics. We're certainly no better than the other nations in our neighborhood who have been confronted with these challenges. But I believe it is by the grace of God that we have been preserved and sustained.
General Overseer of the Action Chapel International Ministry, Archbishop Duncan Williams, says projects like the National Cathedral are bound to face criticism and resistance, but that should not discourage the initiators.
It has everything to do with generations yet unborn. Will always create the kinds of controversy and the kinds of resistance and opposition we are facing. Not just about the National Cathedral, but anything new, anything that has never been done before, anything that men cannot comprehend, appreciate, and understand, we always react to it. But let me say to the chairman and to all the members of the trustees, let us not allow the opposition, the controversy, the misrepresentation, the criticisms to in any way discourage us. Let our hands be strengthened and let us do this even if we are misrepresented and misunderstood for posterity. And let posterity determine and judge us whether we were right or wrong.
President of the Worldwide Miracle Outreach, Dr. Lawrence Tete, has been raising concerns about persons who criticize the demolition of structures on the land to be used for the construction of the cathedral.
If it comes to National Cathedral, it should be devoid of political colors. As a matter of fact, this monument for me is for God and not for NDC, not for MPP. This is the time that we should come together in the massive united front to think about how we can protect and preserve the Christian heritage. People have asked us, why are we breaking buildings? In fact, if you can break the whole of Accra and use it to build a house for God, it's not about Nana Addo, it's not about John Mahama, it's not about anybody, it's about God.
So you think it wouldn't be a misplaced priority to even break all the buildings in Accra to put up a National Cathedral?
Oh, I will not mince my words. That let's break the whole of Ghana and build it into a church, and that will be a place of peace. As a matter of fact, if you want peace, cohesion, and unity, what will bring us together is the church.
What do you make of assertions out there that the resources that are going to be used to construct this cathedral, the money and everything, could be used to, there are a lot of schools under trees, there are a lot of communities without water, potable drinking water and all of that, hospitals without beds and all of that. What do you make of these suggestions?
Let me say this again. When it comes to National Cathedral and building for God, I will not politicize anything. The poor will always have. The people will always be in need. But as we build this thing, it will even be a safe haven for us to come together. It is in unity that lies power.
Just 10 years ago, 37-year-old Dennis Ayembela was heading to Bolgatanga on a normal day for the burial of his father, but the crash midway robbed him of the opportunity to say his final goodbye. It also robbed him of his joy, as a spinal injury since has made him lose the ability to control his discharge of urine and feces. Maxwell Agbagba again has more in this story for our Arrive Alive campaign to minimize accidents on Ghana's roads.
I am in Dennis's room. His sister Gloria is trying to get him in a reclining position for this interview, but the pain is simply unbearable. A tube-like device that stores his urine lies on the floor close to him. He sits to narrate to me how a speeding driver truncated his aspirations in his final year of studies to become a medical practitioner.
The police report that I managed to get, when you read the police report, they were saying that the driver of the trailer was the one who caused the accident because he was over speeding and then was sleeping at the same time. Some of the people got trapped in the bus, so they were trying to chisel and be able to get some out, though they were even dead. And in the process of doing, the bus caught fire. And then our driver is missing other people to ashes, living with only their schools.
He sustained a spinal injury which affected his ability to control urine flow and excreta.
Yeah, I can't control. Yeah, I can't control it. That's why the urine bag is connected. If I were to be able to control, there's something that if I feel like urinating, I'll just take it in, put it in and urinate. Yeah.
So now you don't feel anything?
I don't feel my lower limbs, I don't feel anything. It just comes by it all. It just comes by it all. The same thing to when I'm going on property, it comes just like that. But, so as I sit, I have to be checking myself and all that.
Dennis says he's gradually losing his eyesight too.
I've been confined to one place. Even as I talk to you now, I have vision problems. You can imagine somebody just lying at one place for 10 years, this 10 years. Even as I'm talking to you, I can't see you clearly. I have vision problems now. I'm even losing my sight gradually. My life is going waste. My life is going waste. And at this my age, I still have a long way to go in life. So I'm really appealing to the general public, appealing to Ghanaians, and even the rest of the world, that anybody who watches me should please come to my aid. Please come to my aid.
His 25-year-old sister, Gloria Labrob, says she had to drop out of school to take care of his brother, who used to fund her education.
To take care of him. If he want water, I'm the one who remove and give it to him. He cannot do anything. Because of that, I'm not going anywhere. Just sitting at home. I'm not doing anything. My colleagues are finished school, some are working. Look at me. Now I'm in the house. I'm not doing anything.
A pastor at the Divine Faith Ministries, Reverend George Carty, has been trying to get support for Dennis.
I don't know him from him, but when I saw him, honestly, his story really moved me. So I continued to intercede on his behalf, prayer day in, day out. He can't do anything for them, but 10 years, he's just confined to one place. He cannot do anything. We know God is able to do all, but he needs medical attention. If you look at the spinal, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a medical doctor, but to him, he needs a spinal reconstruction, and it involves a lot of money. A lot of money. He needs financial assistance. He needs financial support. So anybody watching, anywhere you are watching from, he needs financial support.
And if you need to reach all emergency centers in Ghana, the number to call is 112. With emergency call centers inundated with prank calls, the head of sustainability and partnership of the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, Abena Nyamesem, has appealed to the conscience of perpetrator to desist from such act, as it could potentially cause people in real need of emergency services to miss out. The Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication has partnered the multimedia group to publicize the emergency number.
Currently, emergency services in Ghana have different numbers: 191 for police, 193 for ambulance, and 192 for fire. 112, according to Head of Sustainability and Partnership at GIFEC, Abena Nyamesem, is expected to replace these numbers to become the central control port of call when in need of an emergency.
We've come into partnership with Multimedia Group because you have solidified network, you have wide network, being it Akan speaking station, English speaking station throughout the country. So we believe that you are the right network to work with to drum home the message of emergency, and also ensure that the populace are well informed about 112 and all the issues that come with emergency services.
I also realize you are concerned about prank calls.
Yes. Prank calls is a major part of the 112 that we are seeking to let the people know that if you do not have emergency, don't call, because if you do call, people in real emergencies may not have access to these numbers.
Jesse Amwa Japon, who was with the GIFEC team that visited the multimedia office Wednesday morning, explained how 112 will replace existing emergency numbers.
The existing numbers would eventually be phased off. So if you need to reach the Ghana Police Service, you would call 112. If you need to reach Fire Service, you call 112. If you need to reach the NADMO office, you call 112. If you need to call the ambulance service, you call 112. That's not to say that the existing numbers have all been shut down. We do understand that people will go through a transitionary process. And that's why the partnership with the media is quite great. So for someone who has any pre-existing number saved on their phone, the new number to save on your phone now is 112. It's all part of the agenda of the country to ensure that every Ghanaian, be it a child or an adult, understands that in times of emergency, you call 112.
So the phase out, how soon are we expecting that to happen?
I think that the mandate that has been given from the security perspective is to ensure that the phase out is completed by May this year.
Head of Joy Cluster, Emma Morrison, welcomed the partnership with a promise to propagate the emergency number with a sense of urgency.
Arrive Alive is a very important project to us, and this would also help to sort of like complement it as well. So we'll push, and I'm happy that we've spoken about the prank calls, because a lot of education has to go into it, both in the English language and also Akan, because Akan platforms are also key platforms that we run. So the language is important as well, and as well as the messaging. Yes, we're going to support this with all our might. You know, we're excited by it. It's a very important project. And then if anything else comes out that we see some synergies with, would like to sort of also throw that in.
If you are used to 191, 192 and 193, get ready for a permanent switch to 112.
Thank you. Yes.
As you're well aware, today is Ghana's independence, and marking this day, not only with this great show, we recall stories from our entertainment, art and culture settings, and she calls herself the Lioness of Africa, and she has toured the world performing on some of the most prized stages across Europe. The Upper West regional-born Afro-pop singer Weyala has now braved the odds, relocating from Accra, the national capital, just to live in a home village where she grew up, Fonse, in the One West district. A 34-year-old already has a street named after her in her hometown or home village, and is building a cultural theater, also same located there, and training the townsfolk's next generation to know how to sing and dance. Well, JoyNews Justice Beidou traveled some 850 kilometers to Fonse just to meet her and look at her work.
Weyala is a young, energetic, ambitious, determined, forward-moving, positive young woman.
A rendition of her 2014 classic Tinambayi. This is Weyala, born as Noella Weyala. Her name is a Sisala word that translates to the doer. After traveling the world, sharing stages with Grammy Award winners, she's back to her native Fonse, giving a meaning to her name, putting her hometown on the world map.
I have promised, and I pray that God, if you ever make me a superstar, I promise I'll also give back to whoever I can give back to. And my mother has always been telling me that when God bless you, you get this, you go here, blah, blah, blah. Please don't forget home, come back home. So I'm back home to share my talent, share the gift God has given me. I believe my talent is a gift. And if I don't share it in a positive way, I think God will take it from me.
It's only been a month since Weyala moved back home and already has young people here coming to her to learn how to dance and to sing.
I like Weyala when she's always on the stage performing, and when she's always around the world calling Fonse Fonse. I am so very happy.
I joined this group to learn how to dance and how to sing.
Growing up in Fonse, there was no electricity until 2012. Then, I'll say I spent my teenage years here. Fonse is a small town which consists about maybe 1,500 people. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will get there.
This woman wants to win a Grammy one day, and that may take her far and near. But Fonse, the town after her heart, she says, would always be home. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, in Weyala's Fonse.
Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we are there.
What a great story. And talking about how great we are as a country, we have to, right here on the AM show, wish you a happy Independence Day. And again, I have to tell you, the main event is in the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi, and it's from where we're going to have the president and the rest of the dignitaries and the vice president and the rest of his ministers gracing the event. We'll bring you that event live right here on the channel. In the meantime, we'll have to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more for you right here. Remember, we have the Ikuatre Memorial Youth Choir right here in the studio, and the renditions will just keep on flowing right here. Just stay with us.